the greatest moment in my life.
Hey, yo.
Hello.
Hello, Magsy. You all right, mate?
Happy Bank Holiday Monday and happy Chain Wrestling Monday. Back on a Monday after last week's early show.
It was nice though.
Weird.
It was nice.
It was weird. It was nice to have the show, but I messaged you on the Monday. I felt lost because we weren't doing Chain Wrestling.
Yeah,
it was. It was very, very weird. And then obviously, poor Scottish Danny, not being a football fan, he had naught to do on a Monday night, unfortunately.
Yeah, poor Scottish Danny.
We're back. We're back.
We are indeed. We are back from outer space and all that sort of nonsense. What was that song? We've done that before, haven't we? What was that?
That was The Prodigy, weren't it?
No. It was the ladies all dancing around their handbags.
Okay.
I Will Survive. That is.
That is right. Correct. It's
weird
that a wrestling show has done that. Done I Will Survive. Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you needed to have that kind of attitude of I will survive to get through 1999 WCW Nitro, to be fair.
that is very, very true. Very, very true.
Look at that, mate. Levels and links again.
It's almost like you've been podcasting before.
Well, professional, mate. Absolutely professional. And on that note, the clock says 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and we haven't even done the intro yet. We're that fucking professional. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live, back on a Monday with Mags and Si, a Radio Techers production, hand in hand with the SJP World Media Network. But a little bit more about that shortly. Episode 90 of Chain Wrestling, 10 weeks from the big triple digits.
Yes,
I am
sir.
Si. And with me, as always, is the Mankind to my Cactus Jack, the Monday Night Raw to my Monday Night Nitro, because I will fail early and he'll keep on going and make and be gloriously successful. A podcaster who naturally always puts butts in seats. The Podfather himself, Lord Mags. How are we doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Glad to be back on a Monday. Like I said, it was very weird doing it on the Sunday last week, but it was different. It was fun. It was casual and breezy. Glad to be back on a Monday, though.
Yeah, and me, mate. And me. It's been good, mate. It's been good. Sunday was lovely. It was a bit early as well. That's what 3 weeks. We were done by sort of 10 past 10. And that was weird as well.
Yeah, it was. It was. Let's not change it round again too much.
No.
At the 8 o'clock start just didn't work, and we went off the rails very quickly, talking about crafties and things like that. So let's rein it in a bit.
What do you mean? I edited that show, and it was just almost like Magsy's wanking podcast. It just ran for two and a bit hours. You know.
Luckily, the audio version is much better than the video version when it comes to Magsy wanking.
Yeah, you don't have to see it, but sadly I can't edit out the noise. Anyway,
or the shame.
The shame, the filthy shame, the embarrassment and desperation. Who's in the chat with us this week, my friend?
Oh, Jesus wept. So we've had Matt Willis early doors. He's actually making an appearance on Bang Bang. So kind of being a traitor. Not happy about that. And then Dan Griffin. It's not a Sunday night. I think I know what that means. Recording a few UTT bits shortly, so we'll be a little bit late to the party. So again, Dan will be probably nipping in and out. Cam, is it not Sunday? Fecking bank holidays. Hello, Cam. How are you, sir? And there she comes, the first lady of the SJP World Media Network. It's Monday night. You know what that means.
My glorious wife.
Mm-hmm. Dan saying I look shocked. I mean, when do I not look shocked? I'm generally shocked when Sa turns up with more than a minute to go. So that's probably what that's about.
No. Hang on. Very rarely now am I turning up that late. This week there was at least 5 minutes. There was at least. I'm not even taking a piss. There was at least 5 minutes.
There was, although we were late to start the countdown because we were chin wagging.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's professional.
That's more a you thing than a me thing, I think.
Rude. Dan saying SARS alive. The festival didn't finish him off.
No, it did not.
Connor, hello, sir. How are you? Saying good afternoon, Mags. Again, Connor doing great work and great numbers on his YouTube football watch along. So congrats on that, Connor. Scottish Danny in the chat, hello, sir. Says Mags Tenay and Sa Zabisco. Whoa, surely I'm the Bischoff.
Hang on, Sai Zabisco. That works. That's a good working name, that is.
That's your gimmick name from now on.
I'm having that. Sai Zabisco. That's a good one. I'm taking that. And I'm going to use it spelt wrong like Danny's done it. Sorry, Danny.
Yeah. He's the love child of 2022 Triple H and 1999 Larry Zabisco. Brilliant.
Yes.
Cam saying hello to the rest of the guys and gals in the chat. Danny doing the same. Dan Griffin, we've all read it. The best comment. Tony's peeping between Mags and Sa like 7 at a schoolboy's window. Gee. The weird thing is Zabisco peeping over his legitimate son's face there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hi, Dad.
And this one, we'll have less of this, please, Mr. Griffin. Tug Father Mags. That's ridiculous. So yeah, that's the chat all caught up with. So thank you all again for having us in your homes whilst we talk 2 hours of absolute nonsense.
And nonsense it is, and we're very proud. Mags, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I forgot it was a bank holiday, but I had an interesting weekend. I watched the KSR boxing event. I was actually live messaging you about it whilst you were on your festival dalliances. But yeah, it's been no UFC this weekend, so it was a nice and relaxed weekend. How about yourself?
Well, I went away for a few days, mate, and it was bloody fantastic. What a festival Stone Dead is. It's I say it's one day. You get a bit of music Friday night as well, but it's all day Saturday. The layout is perfect. It don't cost an arm and a leg. You can take your own beer in when you go into the arena. Everything. It's brilliant. It's so good. And I want to give us a huge special shout out. First of all, to people I met at that weekend. There was a group of people, various different names. I don't want to list through now because obviously no one really knows who they are. But loads of people that we hung around with. My mates Ash and Stu. There's the three of us. My boy didn't come this year, so it was the three of us, and we met a group of people from up north that we were hanging around with, a married couple from elsewhere, and there's a few lads that we know from, I think, Leicestershire that go every year as well. And it's just great seeing these old faces and meeting new faces and in just enjoying fantastic live music and brilliant weather. Just a great time had by all. I definitely 100% hugely missed my wife, my kids, and my animals, though. I was so happy to come home. And Lemmy, we've got a little cardboard box in the front room that he's adopted as his bed, which we want to get rid of because it looks tatty as shit. But every time Sharon thinks about getting rid of it, he gets back in it. So, screws that. Lemmy got out of his box when I got home, walked into the hallway, looked me up and down, turned around, got back in his box. So I'll take that as a win. And
he's acknowledged that you were there, basically.
Yeah. I don't know if he was hoping I was somebody else. Maybe.
Just got a disappointed cat.
Oh, that fat fella's back again. God damn it.
It's been so peaceful without that wanker, and now he's back.
I want to give a massive shout out though, and my wife is going to get so damn sick of hearing these three words because all I've spoken about. And bear in mind, I think there's like 9 or 10 bands on the Saturday, and there was 3 bands on the Friday night. So 13, 14 bands depending on what's on, and they have a DJ playing at different times as well. But these 3 words, my wife is going to get sick of. But I cannot implore people enough to go and check out Those Damn Crows. This band is my new favourite band. They're great on record or Spotify or whatever you listen to people on. I really enjoyed their couple of albums before going. Seeing them live, oh my goodness, Magsy, they are incredible. I'll send you a couple of links, mate, and they are so good. To the point where whether it works with the show or not, Those Damn Crows are going to play us out this week on the audio because they were that freaking brilliant. Absolutely super. Go and check them out.
I hope they're doing a cover version of Mankind's music then.
Yeah, I'll play that now. So I'll tell you what, I'll play Those Damn Crows in the intro. I'll play them now as we're talking, and I'll play them at the end as well.
So just every musical interlude is now your new favourite band.
Yeah, well, we're sort of we got sort of linked up on Facebook now, so I'll message the lead singer and say, look, do you want to sponsor the show? Can your music be officially part of the show? Mainly because we've got away with it for 90 episodes. We're gonna get caught with a copyright claim at some stage. If those damn crows are okay,
it's happened one time in 90 episodes. That I think that's pretty good going, and that was you.
Yeah, I fucked that up.
So, did you camp? Did you go in a tent at the festival?
Yes,
how was the camping? Because I've seen videos and images on social media about Reading, Leeds. This I think it was this past weekend. And teenagers being dicks, essentially throwing bottles of piss around the campsite and food fights and things like that. Yeah, ridiculous.
I mean, this is the thing with Stone Dead Festival. It's been put together by volunteers who attended all the old Monsters of Rocks in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a bit of an older mindset, and they are volunteers, and it's made very clear on their social media, we're volunteers, we do this because we love it. And it's almost like the people who come respect that more than anything.
Yeah.
All the stewards you see, the people in the car park, people in the campsite, in the arena, helping everyone, they're all volunteers too. Nobody gets paid for this, apart from the bands. And there's only a 5,000 capacity, and it sells out. They did their early bird tickets. The early bird tickets went on sale on Sunday morning. So Saturday night the music finished. By I think Sunday night they'd sold out of early birds for next year already. They've not announced a single one.
Wow, brilliant!
And that's the early birds are 1,200 tickets. So that's just shy of a quarter of their allocation. So it's like a proper regular, almost family kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you've got different age groups. You've got like the older group, I suppose, that I kind of fit into, who are just there to see the music and enjoy themselves, have a few beers, meet some like-minded people, and so on. And then you've got a much younger group because you have the older people's kids.
Yeah.
And it's amazing seeing these little ones, 4 or 5 years of age, with their ear protectors on as well, bless them. And they're on their dad's shoulders watching Michael Schenker headlined, who played guitar in the Scorpions and UFO, proper 80s, MSG and all that he played for. Proper 80s metal icon, I guess. Seeing these little kids who, they weren't even born when he was still in the Schenker group or whatever, the original Schenker group and all this, wearing a Michael Schenker t-shirt, and I was at Stone Dead on the back and all. It's so great. But the camping itself, it's really pushed all over the place that this is a festival by fans for fans, is like their sort of tagline, I guess, for want of a better term. So nobody leaves rubbish. There's a video on their Facebook account of one of the main organisers walking around the campsite and the arena after the festival is finished, and there's nothing. Everyone's took their tents. There's a pile of rubbish by the bins. Naturally, that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. The toilets are all clean. It's honestly, it's so, I cannot sing the praises of this festival enough. They've put the price up for next year, and again, they were like, "We're really sorry we've got to do this, but it's the way it is." The showground where it's booked, I think, is putting their prices. Whatever, they want to maybe get a couple of bigger bands involved and all this sort of stuff. And they were hugely apologetic about putting their prices up for, I think, the first time since the festival's been running, and next year will be the 5th year. They put it up a tenner, Magsy. A tenner.
It's nothing.
That's it. Yeah. And it's like, that's camping, 70 quid it'll be next year for music Friday night, camping Friday night, music all day Saturday, camping Saturday night, and then home. And you can take your own beer in as well. And if you shouldn't take too much in because they want to sell the beer to support the vendors.
Yeah.
But even that, you go up there and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's like £4.50, £5 a pint." You go somewhere like Download or Reading, it's like 9 quid a drink or whatever.
It's ridiculous,
just,
yeah. I think it was something like 3 quid for a bottle of water.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
Yeah,
absolutely insane. So I cannot sing the praises of Stone Dead Festival enough. If classic rock is your cup of tea, look into it. It's incredible. Oh, we had a Lancaster bomber fly over the arena as well. Right, there's only 2 still in commission. Is that the right term? Yeah. They arranged to fly over one last year, and the years previous years we had Spitfires. This year we had a big Lancaster bomber, and it comes right over your head. It's like really good. It's so
awesome.
Good, man.
Yeah. Sounds like you had a whale of a weekend.
Yeah, and we're so blessed with weather as well. I mean, touch wood, it don't go wrong next year, but every year the sun has been shining, and it's just brilliant. And again, those damn Crows, holy crap, what a band. What a band.
It's the chain wrestling's favourite band.
They've got an NWO t-shirt that says TDC, those damn Crows, underneath as well. Because they're wrestling fans, apparently. You know, and just brilliant time, mate. Absolutely fantastic time. But I'm glad to be home. I slept for, I reckon, around 13 hours when I got back, give or take. I had a session, I had a kip in the afternoon, went back to bed, didn't get up again until midday today. So you'll be proud to know, Magsy, because of my time restraints with that, I've done my usual extensive research into what we're talking about this week.
So basically, you've watched it about an hour ago.
I finished like 8:10, yeah.
Fucking brilliant. Brilliant.
But hey, gives me 50 minutes to potter around and brush my hair and whatever else he's doing.
I'm just glad you had a really good weekend. The pictures you sent, it looks like you had a whale of a time, sir.
Yeah, it was a great time. I've met so many wonderful people and yeah, friends that I will see again next year, because that's just the way that festival works. And again, it's a size enough to be busy, but not so big that you're not saying, "Oh, I'll see you next year." It ain't going to happen. You will, which is lovely. So yeah, hopefully the wife might think about coming next year. We'll see how we go. But yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time.
Good. Glad you enjoyed it.
Speaking of great times, the opposite of that is not good times. Shall we talk about some not good times in wrestling, Magsy?
We're going to have to, so... We've already got an answer whether your good lady is going to go to the festival next year. Nope.
Okay, fair enough, Sharon. It's a shame, but you know. But I mean, Sharon said she had a great weekend. I mean, I don't need to tell you what she did because I wasn't here, so that's
amazing.
But no, she took the kids for something to eat and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, no, they had a nice time as well. I mean, Charlie actually got out of bed, so that says something. You know, love you, Charlie, really? But you're living like a 16-year-old student. You're only 12. It's all right.
Very advanced for her age.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe it's a plus point. We should look at it that way, you know? And there she is, Sharon, in the chat again there saying, me and the girls have our own traditions now. And that's lovely as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, they like that, waving you away. Bah! Bah!
And they walk in, the party poppers go off. Celebrate you. Magsy, what you got for us, mate? What are we throwing in the Hall of Lame this week?
Okay, so before I get into it, I've got to give a little bit of context, I suppose. So I messaged Sar during the week to see if he had an updated list of the entrants that we've put into the Hall of Lame, because the one that I've got is a few weeks old.
And obviously, me being the utmost professional, fix that for you straight away.
By now sending me one and saying I don't have one. So the reason why is because I know that I've touched on this subject before with a Hall of Lame, but it wasn't particularly about, well, it was about this, but it wasn't what I'm going to hopefully put in. But I didn't know whether someone else had brought it up whilst I was on my exodus or whatever. But I want to go back to October of 2002. Eric Bischoff was the general manager of Raw, and we had Raw Roulette. And one of these Raw Roulette matches was that the current tag team champions had to defend their titles in a ladder match. The current tag team champions at the time were one Hurricane Helms and Kane. So instantly you should know where we're going with this. Kane. So Kane at the time was tag team champion. He was also Intercontinental champion. And in the upcoming pay-per-view, which was No Mercy, he had the potential to be the first ever wrestler to hold all three of the major titles in one go when he challenged for the world title. But we get the match, and before it starts, Kane's partner Hurricane is taken out by his upcoming opponent at No Mercy. So Kane has to essentially enter this ladder match on his own against 3 other teams. He does pick up the win though, but his opponent, who beat up Hurricane, comes out at the end of the show, and it's Triple H. And Triple H starts to make accusations towards Kane, accusations that he is a murderer.
You're a murderer.
Yes, and he mentions, "Do you remember Katie Vick?" The show closes with Kane being visibly upset, but I mean, as visible as someone in a black and white mask can be. Next week we get to Raw, and Kane is encouraged by Terry Runnels to share his story. So he comes out to the ring and he says Katie Vick is his friend, that Katie's dead, but he didn't kill her. It was an accident. And he goes through his whole kind of a recollection of what happened with this accident, saying that him and Katie were friends about 10 years ago. She came to his first wrestling match when he first started, and she was the only person who cared about him on the show. One night they went to a party. Katie had a little bit too much to drink. He decided to drive her home, but she insisted that he drives her car, which was a stick shift or a manual for us in the UK. He wasn't that familiar with it, but he drove anyway. An animal jumped out in front of him. He swerved to avoid this animal. The car spins out of control and crashes. He broke his arm, but Katie died instantly. It was an accident, and it's something that he's had to live with, and he eventually apologises to Katie Vick's parents. Triple H comes out and goes, "Boo-hoo, Kane, boo-hoo." You've got me all choked up with your story, but since you're out here bearing your soul, why don't you tell the world the truth? Why don't you tell the world that when the people from that party were questioned, they all said that you were drinking? Why don't you tell them when the police came to the accident, there were empty beer cans in the car? And more importantly, Kane, why don't you tell them how when the doctors did the autopsy, they found semen on Katie Vick's body? Then he goes on, "That's right, Kane. Katie Vick was more to you than a friend. The fact is, you loved Katie Vick. You were madly in love with Katie Vick. But the problem was Katie Vick only liked you. She didn't love you. She didn't have them feelings you had. And honestly, Kane, who could blame her? Because look at you. You're a burnt-up freak. Who could love you?" So he then, Triple H continues, "Now, Kane, I know you weren't charged with murder. In fact, I know you weren't even charged with manslaughter, but the facts are the facts. And the fact is, Kane, this all points to you. You know it, I know it, and the whole world knows it. You killed Katie Vick." And this is where it gets way darker.
Which is incredible, considering what you've already told us.
Yep, so Triple H carries on. Kane, the question I have to you is, on that night, did you force yourself onto Katie Vick while she was alive, or did you just wait and do it to her when she was dead? Oh. Then we get to the 21st of October, and Triple H is saying he's got video evidence of Kane. He's going to. He has a lot of accusations to back up, and he says to the audience in the opening promo. He apologises for nothing. He's going to be able to prove what he said, and then we see him giving the tape to the production truck. We see him speak to the coach, and they roll the footage, and they give a disclaimer before this footage saying, "Warning: the following scene contains material that may offend some viewers. Discretion is advised."
On that note, Magsy, very quickly, I'm really apologise to interrupt you, but can we just put our own disclaimer out here? Because I know at least one of my girls is watching this, okay? Earlier on, when I mentioned to Charlie, my youngest, Daddy and Mags talk about some adult themes on that show, and you want to try to ignore some of it. This is exactly the sort of shit I meant, Charlie, okay? Mm-hmm. All right, so just close your ears for a minute or something.
Go and watch something else on YouTube for the next 5 or so minutes.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, let's get on with it. So we see some old-fashioned VHS-style footage of a funeral parlour. The camera says it says it's 2:30 a.m. in the morning, and it pans across this coffin to these double doors where we hear, "Hello, is there anybody there? It's Kane." And we see Kane peeping his head round the corner to make sure the coast is clear. Now, let's get this straight. This isn't the real Kane. This is
is it
this
not?
This is Triple H in a Kane mask, apparently meant to be in 1992, as the time says in the corner. But yet he's wearing a Kane mask and a big freaking machine Kane t-shirt, which is weird. I mean, the timeline on this whole story annoys the fuck out of me, and I will get to that later on anyway. But we see Kane walk over to the casket and start telling Katie Vick off, like blaming her. "This was your fault, Katie. If you'd have just let me feel you up in the car, I wouldn't have swerved." And then, as if the dead body was talking back to Kane, the conversation turns and Kane is almost given permission by this dead body to grope. Essentially, he gropes with one hand, the camera blurs, he gropes with a second hand. They then start talking about removing items of clothing, essentially the same items that we mentioned when it was introduced into the Hall of Fame for merchandise. He takes off a bra, he takes off the panties, and then in a bit that I forgot happened, but I was quickly reminded, he sniffs the panties and says, "I love the smell of formaldehyde in the morning."
Oh, God.
After this, Katie Vick, the body of Katie Vick, gives Kane permission to do the deed. He mentions Katie feeling stiff. Speaking of stiff, he takes off his clothes, gets into the coffin. We thankfully get a kind of musical montage of candles and flowers and things like that. But you can
the Benny Hill.
Pretty, but you can hear in the background the moaning and groaning from Kane, and then it cuts back to Kane led atop Katie Vick, having a chat with her. "Oh, thank you, Kay. This has been the best night of my life." And then he gets another message from Kay saying that he'd screwed her brains out, and he lifts up a pile of meat, gelatinous, it's brains. He's screwed her brains out. The video cuts off, and we see Triple H pissing his sides, leaning against the coach. So that's essentially the most disgusting video section that WWF has put out. Got so many complaints, but it's not over. We get luckily, I think Vince kind of saw that this wasn't going to go well. Got complaints from the TV companies, got complaints from sponsors, so they started to really wrap this up. So the week after, we get essentially the closing of the angle. Kane had already lost the match at No Mercy, so the Intercontinental title and the World title had been combined. Triple H comes out essentially to boast, I suppose, about being the best wrestler. He brings out a coffin. Now, in this coffin, well, he says we've not heard from one person in this storyline, and that's Katie Vick. So in this coffin is Katie Vick. Now he opens the coffin, carries the body to the ring, giving everyone the jokes of, oh, you're looking dead tired, oh, you feel like dead weight. Lies are on the apron, and the legs of the dummy open up, and he makes comments. Jesus Christ! No wonder Kane wanted some. Close your legs, love. Then the arm of the dummy flops down to Triple H's crotch, and he's like, whoa, Katie, calm down. Gets her in the ring. She ends up showing her panties again, and he sits in the middle of the ring and sits this Katie Vick dummy on his knee, and then starts to do almost a ventriloquism with Katie Vick, essentially getting her side of the story, saying that she blames Kane and that she doesn't forgive him. Thankfully, we're interrupted by Hurricane, who has some video footage of his own. One thing I haven't kind of touched on was at the end of the last week's episode, Triple H was kidnapped by Kane in temper and locked in a boot. Triple H explained away how he was okay this week because the boot had a child's safety handle where you can escape, and he said he got out scot-free. Hurricane says this isn't true, that there is actually, he's got footage of what happened to Triple H whilst he was in that car. He was taken to a local medical facility, and we see a guy with a cardboard cutout of Triple H's face, which changes expression all the way through this scene, and he's been operated on his rectum by a couple of doctors, and they pull out a sledgehammer, they pull out a gear stick from a car. They pull out various like ridiculous items. The hand that Mae Young gave birth to, that gets pulled out. But the big thing is that they pull out a steering wheel of a car. Yeah, so Triple H is not happy at this footage whatsoever, and to kind of end this stupid storyline, he beats up the Katie Vick dead body. And I mean, beats it up. He swings it around. The wig comes off. You see, it's actually a male body underneath. Kind of looks like Vince McMahon. And then starts to batter the body head first onto the steel steps. But thankfully, it was the end of the storyline. And going into the Hall of Lame this week is the Katie Vick storyline. I felt dirty doing that, and it's that bad. It's made Sa freeze. Jesus Christ. And yeah, I think he's gone. So I can actually give some more context to this story. Apparently, this story was meant to be the introduction of Sick Boy Scott Vick from WCW. He'd signed on a developmental deal. And Katie Vick was going to be his sister, and according to sources, it was going to lead to Triple H versus Scott Vick in a big feud. But Scott was apparently not impressive when it. There we go. Si's gone. Scott was not impressive when it came to his tryout matches, so Vince wanted to change it up. And basically said, we'll have Katie Vick being Kane's girlfriend. And yeah, Scott was used pretty much as a jobber in the time that he was in the company. And also, there's some more backstory towards the actual recording of the video that Triple H made. According to Triple H and to Bruce Pritchard, they wanted the video to be more kind of tongue-in-cheek, more kind of comedy-based, and it was Vince who wanted it to be the defiling of a dead body. So they agreed to film both styles and see which one works best. But they took so long to film Vince's version that there was no time to film Triple H and Bruce Pritchard's version, and they went to Vince and said, we need to not put this out. It's going to be horrific. But they did put it out, and it's now in the history books as one of the worst wrestling segments ever. And for a little bit more information, it was actually filmed in a proper funeral parlour, and there is a curtain in the background, and behind that curtain is another room where they were actually having another funeral at the time of filming it. Yeah, so I think this may be the worst entrant in the Hall of Fame. This is worse than the Gobbledooker. It's certainly worse than the WBF. Yeah, this is grim.
Oh, Magsy, to you and to everyone else in the CWF, I apologise there. I got disconnected for a moment. I'm back. I'm using the data off my mobile phone because Virgin Media can suck my balls. So if there's a bit of a lag or any further internet issues, bear with me. We'll manage them as best we can. But yeah, thank you for carrying on there, Mags. In a way, I'm kind of glad Virgin disconnected me there because that was getting worse and worse and worse.
I mean, all you really missed then was the context of what the actual storyline was meant to be and how it transferred into a Kane versus Triple H feud.
Oh, dear me. Shocking stuff, mate. And again, I'm so sorry to my kids if they listen to any of that.
I'm sorry as well. I am sorry as well. Yeah, Charlie's just unplugged the router. Like, nope, yeah, she's like, that's enough internet for today.
No more. Daddy, stop it. Unclick. But very, very worthy of going into the Chain Wrestling Hall of Fame. And again, Mags, I'm amazed. And I can understand now why you wanted to check the spreadsheet that we have for Chain Wrestling with all the... For those who don't know, we have a spreadsheet going right back to episode 1 with all the non-wrestling topics, all the nominees that win a poll, lose a poll. You know, we keep records of everything up to a few weeks ago because I got a bit lazy, but, you know, I'll sort it out. I can understand why now you wanted to look at that because you would think that's already in there, but it's not. Well,
yeah, and when you said what is it that I wanted to bring up, and you'll see if you can remember if it's brought up, I didn't want to show my hand because I didn't want you to. I wanted to see your initial reaction to this being brought up. So, Katie Vick, I think she may be the first dual entrant into the Hall of Fame because her merchandise was inducted in February, I think. So, how's that worked? How has the merchandise been inducted before the actual event? But
very
yeah.
True. Very true. I mean, my entrance this week into the Hall of Fame has already been mentioned on the show, amazingly. And it's going to be quite a short entrance because...
No!
It is. because there's not masses of background to it other than Mark Henry signs to a massive contract in the mid-90s. And the numbers you hear banded around are absolutely disgusting, because they thought this guy was going to be something really special. And he ended up having quite an established and good career at times, very up and down in the early days, but it was what it was. At one stage, Vince McMahon and the WWF thought, we want this guy out of this long-term contract. We're paying him all this money, and it's too much for the return we're getting. So they tried to put him in lots of embarrassing storylines to make him quit, which he refused to do. Fair play to Mark Henry. He stuck by it, and he applied himself to every single one of these storylines. One of them was he was the character Sexual Chocolate, was romantically involved with numerous people. One of them was, shall we say, more mature than others in the legend that was Mae Young. Now, Mae obviously is no longer with us, but everyone who met her or worked with her tells all these incredible stories about how she was a proper hard-nosed lady, getting powerbombed through tables by the Dudleys and all this sort of stuff. And she was competing in women's wrestling. Decades and decades and decades before this. Real historic and important figure in the wrestling world. Those who know Mae Young as being just the older lady who played for jokes on Raw and SmackDown and so on in later years, go back and proper look up her career and have a look at what she did in the decades previous. However, here she entered into a relationship with Mark Henry, and despite her advanced years, ended up pregnant, apparently. And when the day came for them to be blessed with child, it's we ended up with something that was played for laughs, but also with the embarrassment of Mark Henry in mind. Mae Young, as always, threw herself right into the role. Fair play to her. Mae Young horribly, embarrassingly gave birth to a plastic hand. Now, the inside joke of this was apparently that the hand was a massage tool that was used many, many years ago in, I don't know, the 50s maybe. Like, it was like a vibrating massage hand to give yourself a massage or give your partner a massage, hard day at work the knots out your back and all sorts of stuff. But it also had a secondary use that people used to joke about when the housewives in decades past would be left alone during the day. And the joke is that apparently this one day got stuck and never returned until
Jesus.
It was born as Mae Young's and Mark Henry's child. Now, the only comedy moment of this is years and years later when Mae Young and Mark Henry's son hand turned up on Raw and I got a kick out of that. That was funny. But this whole scenario, this guy was in the Olympics, for crying out loud. Mae Young is one of the most important figures in ladies wrestling. Am I right in saying ever, Magsy? Can I go that far, do you think? Was she that important?
She was certainly a trailblazer.
Yes.
Yeah, she was... women's wrestling wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for the likes of Mae Young. But Jesus, what crass. Yeah, this is... I mean, at the time, it's hilarious. At the time, the fact that Mark Henry, a guy in his mid-20s, is getting jiggy with Mae Young, who was in her mid-80s at the time, I think, to the point where she exclaims on Raw, "I'm pregnant!" And then a couple of weeks later, she's giving birth to a mannequin hand. Yeah, it was hilarious, but ridiculous at the time.
Remember, kids, the Attitude Era wasn't always great. Trust me. But there we go.
I said exactly the same thing to Mrs. Mags today when we were watching the Katie Vick stuff because she's never seen it. And I was saying this got huge ratings. Everybody was watching wrestling. But if you tell people about this storyline, that's embarrassing for wrestling.
Yeah, it is. And it's the exact sort of thing, and the hand as well, the exact sort of thing that the Hall of Fame is about. That thing of when a non-wrestling fan watches it, it makes you as the wrestling fan go, "Oh, this is embarrassing. This is it." And you have the same sort of cliche say, "It's not like this all the time. It's not like this every week," all that sort of stuff, trying to explain away this thing that you love because Vince McMahon's an arse. So there we go. Those are our entrants into the Hall of Lame this week. The whole Katie, Vic, Kane, Triple H, Icky saga, and Mae Young and Mark Henry's Icky hand saga, I guess.
Yes.
2 very worthy entrants, Magsy.
Very, very, very worthy.
Indeed. Do you want to run through the chat before we get on to other business?
I don't know if we should, because it's going to bring back the Katie Vic and the hand, which I want to kind of brush away and never speak of again. But we will, because the CWF taking time out of their day to chat with us, so it's only right. Scottish Danny saying finally Katie Vic is getting a rightful place in the Hall of Lame. Absolutely, and may we never speak of her again. Let her rest in peace, finally. Cam saying, can this stop being a wrestling podcast now? Yeah, absolutely, it should. Scottish Danny then says, this is horrendous, but right up Vincent Kenny McMahon Street. Yeah, exactly. This was all Vince. And 1 second.
Maxie just coughing his guts up there for the sake of people on the audio podcast. Because I'm too lazy to cut it out. So. Wow.
So yeah, Bruce Pritchard mentioned on his podcast, Something to Wrestle With, that this actually all kind of snowballed from a conversation that he and I think he said Pat Patterson was having with Vince, and how more and more kept getting added to this story, and he likened it to never saying something that you don't want to happen, because with Vince McMahon, he took the idea and he ran with it, and obviously it's very toilet humour, so he thought it was absolutely amazing. But yeah, never bring up something to the boss that you wouldn't want to watch on TV, essentially. Scottish Danny says, why is my click not there? We go. What is happening with StreamYard today? Scott Vic crashed on the back. Yeah, so I think you missed this bit, but apparently this whole Katie Vic storyline was to introduce Scott Vic, Sick Boy, to the WWF, and he was going to end up having a match with Triple H, but he did not impress in his tryout matches and his developmental matches, so Vince kind of like switched the storyline for it to be Kane's girlfriend. Cam saying, having just got back into wrestling, saying, I'm glad I missed this storyline back in there. But the thing is, when you watched it live, you were invested in it. You thought that this was top-notch entertainment. I mean, you're looking at a show that's getting 5, 6, 7 million viewers a week. But yeah, looking back on it, without those rose-tinted glasses, the 90s and the Attitude Era was not all it was cracked up to be, believe us. Sharon saying Virgin Media working their magic again. Scottish down there. I didn't have Sky at the time. I thank the Lord. Connor saying is Sar working on his, I'm assuming, disappearing act, because I definitely don't want you to be having a darpering act. That's a whole different kind of podcast, Sar. I think Sar's froze again, which is amazing. Cam saying that to Scottish down there, definitely not something I'll be rushing back to experience. No, I disagree, because it is funny. It's funny to watch, and it's cringy, but yeah, definitely should go and check it out. And I think this can be Sar's entrance into the Hall of Lame as well. Outrageous. Yeah, he should get his own entrance. In fact, next week's entrance might be Sar and his disappearing act on Chain Wrestling. UTT Rob, hello sir, welcome to the show. This isn't a Babylon 5 podcast. Thank the Lord, that's worse than Katie Vic. Cam saying you were right all along, Danny. It is all Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And Dan saying somebody play Eric Bischoff's music, because he's back and better than ever, even though it's only been 20 minutes. Sharon said it was freakish. She unplugged the Wi-Fi, but the light stayed on. That's because they have an internal battery, Sharon.
Normally, when you pull the plug out, though, it just goes.
All right, okay, that's weird. Even got Liv to look to make sure I'd unplugged the right thing. Can you imagine if she'd unplugged the internet and that's why it went off? Cam saying, Dan, I wish I'd been preoccupied. Apologies, it is a wrestling podcast, unfortunately. We do have to talk about these things. Dan saying, back in the 50s and 60s, Mae Young used to play poker with the blokes and put them off by 14. Jesus,
amazing.
Man. She also won a fair share of bar fights with the blokes. Yeah, I remember, I think it was from Bob Holly's autobiography. He had a match with Mae Young, and he goes backstage to kind of discuss it with her, and he's saying, "Look, I'll kind of pull the punches," and she says, "Don't you dare pull the punches. You better give it to me as hard as you." Oh, that sounds horrible. You better hit me as hard as you can. And he's like, "Look, I can't do that. You're 80 odd years old," and she says to him, "If you don't give it your all in that match, I will beat the shit out of you." So he actually does lever her in the match.
Bob Holly never took a lot of convince either, did he?
No, he liked to go stiff in the ring.
Yes.
Chris Keske booking the hand according to UTT Rob, and still it was a step down in creative when Stephanie McMahon replaced him. Brilliant. Cam saying it sounded like something from the Addams Family. Mae Young and Mark Henry's son was quite handsome as an adult.
Love it.
It's 9:46, and we still haven't started the non-wrestling topic yet. Well, actually, it's 9:52, so... with a double-header wrestling topic as well, Sharon. We will get to that. We're going to kind of hopefully scam through a lot of that. Sharon saying we're going to be here till midnight, and then IR16. Hi, I'm Italian guy. Hello, IR.
Hello.
Hope you are enjoying the show.
Yeah, great stuff, mate. Great stuff. I mean, people in the chat are correct. We've got to get to our non-wrestling topic and our wrestling topic, and we're nearly an hour in, and we're not there yet. But before we do, I just want to very quickly talk about, well, not even just talk about, give a big thank you, I guess, to Radio Techers, Tanner, Matt, and Magsy. Obviously, you're here. But Chain Wrestling obviously was an audio show for 30 odd weeks before we started doing the live. Radio Techers is obviously the live streaming service covering the football and all that great stuff, and everyone was involved in that, and it put on some fantastic entertainment over the course of many weeks, months, etc., etc. Memories of international football matches, tournament games, Tanner in the States having to get up at the crack of dawn to watch Premier League matches and cover them for the people who are interested in watching. Techers is going to be taking a little break. Now, I don't know the ins and outs and the details because it's not my business. Tanner is the main guy there, along with Magsy and Matt. But circumstances have changed with regards to people's work, people's other commitments, people's lives in general. So this is actually going to be the last Chain Wrestling Live via Radio Techers. Next week, we will be back. We will be available on Monday. Again, as normal, just keep your eyes out for where we're going to be available. It'll be all over our social medias, don't worry. And nothing will change with regards to how you watch the show and how you comment and how things are done. Just click on the links on our social medias, jump on in. Everything will be the same for you. We just will no longer be on Radio Techers stream, I guess. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to just put a massive thank you out there to everybody involved at Techers for basically taking Chain Wrestling on as a live show. And when Techers wasn't putting stuff out for a little while, we were still putting stuff out on the channel, even though it was Techers' channel. And they could have quite easily called it weeks and weeks and weeks back, but they didn't. We carried on using their facilities, for want of a better term, Magsy, online facilities and so on, for the stuff that we're putting out here and everything else. And again, next week, nothing will change for you people. It'll just be clicking a slightly different link, but it'll be on our Twitters and everything else as normal. But for now, Radio Techers is going to be taking a bit of a hiatus. Because of that, we're no longer going to be on Techers. And on that aspect, there's a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, I guess, a little bit of what's going on behind the scenes. I just want to make those behind the scenes a bit more public when I say a huge, huge thank you to everybody who has been involved in Radio Techers and everybody who has backed and pushed and supported chain wrestling, myself, Magsy as well, and then the start of SJP World Media, because everyone at Techers has been a huge, huge advocate and a huge support for my own network as well. So honestly, from the bottom of my heart to all of you guys involved, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. It would be a little bit remiss for me to not add a little bit in here, obviously being one of the three founders of Techers. Since I had my mental health issues, I've really took a step back with Radio Techers. Obviously, a lot of things have changed in my life, and I'm not in the place where I can commit to as much content that I was putting out. Matt has got a lot of changes happening in his life as well, and Tanner is got a lot of work changes, so he's the core group of Radio Techers have become increasingly busy to the point where it's our schedules just don't seem to be able to align to create the content that we created. It may change in the near future. That's why we're kind of not giving it a definitive end. It's more of a we'll be back kind of thing, but we can't say when, and it's not fair to the viewers and the listeners and to the creators to keep them dangling on the ends of strings. So with Sa really making this push to create his own network, which everyone at Techers is massively proud of and so happy for him. It kind of makes sense to the break apart now. Nobody's angry at each other. Nobody's has fallen out. Everybody's is still as close as we've ever been. It's just it will be a different place where you'll get your content. That's all.
Yeah, and on that note, with regards to different content, you can still hear Matt's wonderfully informed dulcet tones on Good Cop, Bad Cop. Check that out on pretty much everywhere you can find your podcasts. You can still hear Matt as well on the Dungeons and Dragons podcast he does. I mean, I don't understand the game, but I still listen because it's fantastic hearing people have fun, you know, and guests on other shows all over the place. Tanner, very, very busy man. Hopefully we'll be hearing his voice again very soon. I mean, we have spoken very, very briefly about something for SJP World Media, maybe a guest spot on a show. That's as far as it's gone. But yeah, with regards to Techers and especially the live football coverage, the volley used to follow us and recapping the weekend's football. I hope that's going to be available in some form somewhere in regards to the podcast platform or whatever, because I love that, because I wouldn't watch all the games. Sometimes I wouldn't have time to watch Match of the Day, and that's how I would consume my content about what went on in the football world. You know, and the live stuff on a Saturday afternoon, I love that too. Absolutely fantastic. I didn't always agree with what was said, Matt Willis, but you know, it was but just a fantastic platform for people to talk football in the chat and so on. So yeah, Tanner, I hope to hear your voice talking football again very, very soon, and everyone else involved in Techers, again, a big thank you from myself. And I suppose the last thing to say really is, again, thank you, and hopefully this is not goodbye. This is just see you again very, very soon.
Hopefully stop.
Okay, Mr. Mags, shall we start with WhatsApp this week so we're not jumping back and forth for you?
We shall. Okay.
It's non-wrestling topic time. We will start with the aforementioned Mr. Matt Willis. He messaged me here on WhatsApp to give us his favourite YouTubers that are not wrestling based that people like to binge on. And this was an idea of Mags's for a non-wrestling topic. And it's amazing. I'll be honest, Magsy, and I didn't tell you this, I didn't know if there was much legs in this. I was thinking to myself,
that's because you're an old soul.
Yeah,
you don't watch YouTube. 100%. To you, YouTube's that thing that kids watch.
Exactly, 100%. And it shows how naive and clueless I am, I think, with this. And that's the best way of putting it, because the response we got is incredible. And again, looking at the time, we're going to have to bomb through a lot of this, I think. So I apologize to people. We'll get to everybody, but I apologize to people if we don't go in depth in what you're talking about. Maybe this is something we can revisit in the future, Magsy, which again is not something I thought I'd be saying at this point in the show.
This could be the new drunk stories.
Maybe. YouTube you watch when you're drunk. That's something else, isn't it? The ideas, mate. It's a factory up there. But I'm not made a note of it, so I'll forget it in 10 minutes. Matt Willis says via WhatsApp, YouTubers who I love to binge watch. Aside from you two handsome devils, cheers, mate. Of the Outside Xbox and Outside Extra team. 2 channels run by a gamer network that have close to 4 million combined subscribers. Oh, wow. And have a lot of Let's Play videos, list videos, and of course, mental things like how to make video game cocktails. That sounds interesting. They're also responsible directly for me, Alex, and Kerry starting Dungeons and Junkies as their D&D group called the Oxventurers Guild. Got me through some very dark times. And at EGX 2019, which is a gaming convention, Matt explains. Thank you, Matt. I got to meet Johnny Chiodini. He's actually written it out here how to say it as well. Thanks again, Matt.
He's phonetically wrote it. Brilliant.
You knew I was going to butcher that name, Matt, didn't you? Thank you. You absolute star. He's met Johnny Chiodini in person, and they, non-binary pronouns, were very humble and signed my D&D notebook along with their friends. I've attached a picture of the autograph for posterity. Johnny is the one with the arrow points to. I don't know if we're going to be able to make this out. In fact, we can't, because my screenshot of it has cut it off, but I'll put it on the Twitter for everyone to see. Yeah, brilliant stuff. Awesome stuff. I mean, it's great having the content at their fingertips, Magsy, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah. My youngest, Charlie, who is YouTube obsessed, she is the one who I think of when people talk about watching YouTube videos. That's where my mind instantly goes. Charlie says, Wilbur Soot, who is a Minecraft YouTuber. Tommy Innit, who is also a Minecraft YouTuber.
I think there's a theme going here.
Little bit, mate, little bit. Team Edge, which apparently is 3 people called Joey, Brian, and Bobby, doing different challenges to earn edge points in their scoring system. They just use stupid stuff and are really funny while doing it. And whilst we discussed those, Charlie actually came in. This is the most enthusiastic she's been about a non-wrestling topic, by the way. Charlie's quite the artist, and she paints a lot of canvases, and she does all sorts of different paintings. I got a lovely picture of the TARDIS on a canvas that she's done for me and all this sort of stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
She's painted the Wilbur Soot and Tommy Innit Minecraft figures heads on a canvas, and she's brought them in and said, if anyone would like to have a little look, this one here is Tommy, apparently, and if people can make that out on the screen.
Oh, that's
cool. What his Minecraft character looks like there. And we have Wilbur Soots, which is here, and that's what his looks like as well. And you just see Charlie's little signature down in the corner there. So there we go.
They're awesome.
Very talented little artist, my daughter Maxie. Very talented little artist. But thank you, Charlie, for sending those in. That's brilliant stuff. We could jump to Twitter now, Max, I guess, can't we?
Let's do it.
Okie doke. I will run through in the order we received them, which means absolutely nothing to everybody else. Steve-O says, how long have you got? Total Steve at Total Steve-O on Twitter. Yeah, star. Very star for the show, mate. How long have you got at Total Steve-O on Twitter? It says here. So, Warzone streamer, so Carl Love, started watching him around a year and a half ago and watched his journey climbing the ranks and now 3rd overall, which is absurd. I watch as he represents the everyday man. He's like what we are, independent streamers, isn't relying on gimmicks or sponsorships, being fake or just anything like that. He's just him. He is amazing at the game and is very community interactive, similar to yourselves. Well, thank you, Steve. Not of late, but tactical Brit. Before, in Steve-O's opinion, he says here, selling out to just stream Warzone. He would stream Underground World War II, first-person shooters, real in-depth tactics. He's another one, speaks everyday common language I can relate with. Like I say, unfortunately, he's sold out, and I've gone off him as all it is Warzone. Ironically, when he stops streaming and talks to the audience, he's really interesting to listen to. I occasionally now tune in, but not for long. Same with Broken Machine. He's getting a bit boring and just lost interest. I watch all the Bill on YouTube. albeit not a YouTube channel per se. A lot of content, sadly, from a lot is samey, and I stopped watching. Happens a lot in the fitness industry, which is something I obviously know a great deal about.
Me as well.
Sell out doing stupid gimmicks, i.e. Juji Mufu, Eddie Hall, just prats around now, sadly, for views. Jeff fucking Marshall is fantastic, he says here. A guy that goes to London tube stations and train stations around the UK. I watch everything. He has a charm about him, a personality I love. The guests he brings on are brilliant, especially the Northern guys. I used to watch old episodes of Prisoner Cell Block H on there. Oh, a little shout out for Cell Block H, mate. But they have all been removed now. Other than that, not specific channels, but I like a good music playlist. I found a good alternative. Oh, sorry. I'm butchered this now.
You've moved on to somebody else there.
Mr. Mango, all the way from Australia. This is your tweet, and I'm putting it all in with Steve Ola because I'm, rushing and not paying attention. Look at that. That's what my teachers used to say to me, and I'm 41 now. I still haven't changed. At Mango_Chris on Twitter. Because I used to watch all the old episodes of Prisoner Cell Block H on there, but they have all been removed now. Other than that, not specific channels, but I do like a good music playlist. I found a good alternative country one on there. I was working my way through. See, YouTube music is something that I do actually watch, Magsy. But I will click on, I'll search specific things like shows I've been at or famous concert moments, and then it just kind of plays on after, doesn't it? So I end up watching a lot of stuff afterwards.
Yeah. Well, it auto plays unless you turn autoplay off, which is something I definitely do. I can't stand autoplay. If I haven't picked the video to watch, I don't want it playing.
But I've discovered new bands and all sorts by doing that.
That's cool.
Okay. Connor in the chat, I know he is there. At Connor Knows Footy. On a separate note there, Connor, I won't go into details. It's not my place, but I appreciate that you feel you can reach out to me when there's stuff going on in your life. I hope everything is well, my friend. Thank you so much. And as I've mentioned, God knows how many times on the show, and as Magsy has as well, DM's always open. And I'm glad it's good news, my friend. Yep. Connor says, most of the YouTube I watch is gaming or football related, along with a few true crime channels. Some of my favorites are Football Daily, Elite FPL. That's Steve-O's channel, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, excellent stuff. FNG, his weekly show, Football This Week, is football mixed with comedy. Scary Mysteries, like true crime. And IMR Scary Tales, which is like a horror channel, he says here. I don't mind the odd YouTuber, because sometimes their videos pop up on Facebook, don't they? And they talk about real crimes and stuff. I love all that stuff.
Yep. I like a lot of true crime stuff. I used to listen to quite a few true crime podcasts because it's interesting to hear just how horrible humans can be to other humans with the stuff that they do. I used to listen to a lot of cold case podcasts as well, where it's unsolvable crimes or crimes that the police just cannot find the person who's guilty. I think there's a morbid kind of obsession with humans to crime and things like that and horror. So yeah, some good picks there by Connor.
Yeah, I'm going to be checking some of these out, and I know I say stuff like that every week, but I'm going to be. I really am. Danny, at Scottish Danny, at Scottish Juggalo on Twitter, he says, Life in the 1800s is a fascinating channel showing footage of interviews from people in the 1800s. Wow. Also love a bit of Elite FPL with at Total Stevo, so a bit more love for Stevo there, and rightfully bloody so.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely. Not into footy, but I always check in on a live to see him and Jason as they have phenomenal chemistry. And I watched some the other week where when Techers wasn't on, I clicked on Steve-O's channel, and it was just Steve-O on his own for a bit. And it was good. I loved it. It was so because Steve-O, I'm jealous in a way because Steve-O's got this natural charisma and he can just talk and it's all. I don't want to say perform, but you watch him do a solo show. I wish I could do that.
He's naturally entertaining. Yeah, it really, really is. And he mentions about the YouTubers that he enjoys being down to earth and kind of like the everyman. I can listen to Steve O talk about heavy rock music, the headbanging stuff that he's into. Not my not my cup of tea at all. But the passion and the enjoyment he gets out of it is it's infectious. That you want to listen to his opinions on it. So yeah, he's a born entertainer.
Yeah, amazingly, I've never done any shows with him ever.
I don't think that he's been on any of my shows either. We may have to change that.
Sort that out, mate. Yeah, we'll have to sort that out. Morty at MortyJR5, who is the guest on this week's Doctor Who pod, and it goes for 2.5 hours. And honestly, it's bloody fantastic. Morty talks about how he got into Doctor Who, his relationship with family members, growing because they were into Doctor Who and introduced him to it. It's a fantastic listen. And of course, you get nonsense from me and Dan Griffin too. Morty says here, sorry, that's out tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. So check that out on the SJP World Media Network. At MortyJR5. I know which one I don't watch. The bloody Hairy Housewife YouTube channel. Because that is obviously our good friend Fitch's channel, isn't it?
It is actually really entertaining. It's weird that someone loves washing cars so much, but
okay,
it is entertaining. Fitch's he's infectious, but apparently he's got cream for that. So
special tablets, yeah. Rob at UTT Rob on Twitter. Hello, sir. He says, and he's given us some Twitter handles here, which is great. At Captain Jimmy Pie for Doctor Who. At Elite FPL for Fantasy Football. More love for Steve-O. At Alt History Hub and Monsieur Z for Alternative History. And then History Matters and the Armchair Historian for history as well. Quite a few history stuff popping up here. I mean, Scottish Juggalo. Danny mentioned about the 1800s channel and so on. Now, I like a bit of history, mate.
We've got some cultured viewers and listeners to this show. We're very blessed to be friends with these people.
Why the fuck do they listen to us?
Yeah, exactly. How to not do a podcast? That's why they listen to us.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. So everyone else's success, we can claim some of because they've looked at us. And used us as
how not to do it. Yeah, this is how you don't do it.
We have a bit more from Steve-O, and we do have a few running through the theme as he goes along. One more I regularly watch and sub to, Joey B. Toons, highlighting the morons in social media. 99% of the time, he just airs my thoughts on today's society and the use of social media and this desperation to be popular. Yeah, those people are assholes, aren't they?
Yeah.
Constantly searching for likes and
while you're here though, like this video and if you're not subscribed, TikTok is the worst for it. For social, the amount of TikTok begs on there, people who are just sat on there for hours on end, just wanting people to gift them so they don't have to go out and get a proper job, but you know what I mean, where you see hundreds and hundreds of pounds being spent by very vulnerable people just to be accepted by these TikTok influencers. Okay. Yeah, it's very concerning.
Yeah, those people, they're assholes, aren't they?
Yeah.
Preying on people like that. Joshua Goodwin at Joshua Goodwin PW on Twitter, who you will be able to hear very, very soon on the NXT Rise and Fall podcast on the SJP World Media Network. Go and check that a follow and a listen after what I just said. Coming very, very soon indeed. Joshua says, Plainly Difficult, a great channel covering the dark side of science. Various disasters, spent way too long learning about the safety features built into modern day railways because of that channel. Also, a fella called Lindy Beige, guy with a camera, talking all sorts of everything from model building to history to ballroom dancing to all sorts. Did a long video explaining his theory on how Roman gladiators were pretty much the pro wrestlers of their day. I don't watch him very often, but when I do, I'll be watching him all week. You got kind of go down a rabbit hole, Magsy, with some of them, don't you? I suppose.
Yeah, binging, absolutely binge. When I find a new channel and they've done a lot of content, I tend to watch lots and lots of their stuff, and I'll get obsessed for a couple of weeks until I find something else, and then I'll get obsessed with that.
I wonder if that's just a modern society thing, maybe, because all of our entertainment now, so much of it is on demand. It's so much at our fingertips. You think of streaming services, podcasts. The days of, I suppose, proper television and radio, I think are probably not dying out completely, but they're not doing as well, are they?
They're certainly in the rear view mirror. I was speaking to the wife about this topic, and we actually only watch 3, maybe 4 programs on TV on a regular basis, but we watch a lot of streaming and a lot of YouTube content. So yeah, there is a massive shift in the way that we consume our entertainment.
Yeah, very much so. MGB Graham at MGB Graham on Twitter. He says Jomez Pro for disc golf coverage, NBC Sports for Premier League highlights are the first 2 that spring to mind. Oh, and Late Night with Seth Meyers and his Closer Look segments, both informative and funny. See, and it's Graham's fault. I don't subscribe to anything because obviously that's just not my bag, but I do get disc golf videos popping up on my feed of different things.
You
now.
Search for it one time and you will get it forever.
Yeah, but I enjoy it, mate. I think it's amazing.
Well, grow up.
Okay then. Cam at CamGriff92 on Twitter. He says, before my kids took over my YouTube, my main viewing was competitive eating and strongman. Eating was Beard Meets Food, Nathan Figueroa, I want to say that.
Yep.
Matt Stoney. And strongman was Martin Lysis, Lauren Shahali, and Rouge Invitationals. I subscribe to a detailer as well. At Dan Griffin 21, go subscribe. I'm assuming that's another Harry Housewife reference, is it?
It could well be, because Dan tells him to fuck off. Brotherly love, sir. Brotherly love.
Yes, there we go. Dan Griffin also here at Dan Griffin 21. Outside of chain wrestling and Cafe de Rene, I don't watch anything on YouTube anymore, really. Used to watch Epic Mealtime back in the day and Gymquisition and Zero Punctuation's game reviews. See, gaming obviously is a massive multi-billion-pound industry, isn't it? And I think these YouTubers, is influencers the right term? These people who play certain games and say this is good, this is not. They can make or break how popular a game is, I think, at times, Magsy, can't they?
There's no I think about it. It's absolutely true. Guys like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, when they latch onto a new game, that game will sell gangbusters, absolute gangbusters.
Right, okay.
And like you said, it makes that game. I think to the point where a lot of indie game developers actively push their games towards these creators to get buzz about the game, because there's a lot of choice out there. And if you can get your game played by someone really popular who can influence a lot of our viewers, then that can make your company. So yeah, they have a lot of power.
See, I remember buying C&VG, which is a magazine, and I suppose a computer magazine. I was very, very, it's like Mega Drive time and stuff like that. If they said a game was good, I would get it. If they said a game was bad, I wouldn't be interested. So I'm assuming it's kind of a similar sort of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. And Steve-O continues. At Total Steve-O on Twitter. Finally, he says here, Larry Wheels, a powerlifter bodybuilder. He's a freak of nature when it comes to strength. Love a lot of his stuff, but again, I'm slowly getting frustrated by him using out and doing gimmick vids for, I suppose that's supposed to say selling out, sorry. Out and doing gimmick videos for views. He doesn't need to do this, and you can tell he doesn't like doing it. It's ironic because you, me, with Elite FPL, and the same are these large YouTube channels, just on a much tinier scale. And I get fascinated by these desperate attempts for more views and subs. Imagine selling out to do something you hate to appease the masses. Fucking sad. Spot on.
Yep.
I would rather have 15 people watching this and however many we get on the audio version doing what we love than chasing views and having all sorts of numbers and not enjoying it.
Yeah, I've lost count of the amount of YouTube channels and content creators who have unsubscribed to because they, as Steve said, they've sold out to chase the views. They get addicted to the numbers and the revenue from it, and they always want to chase that high, and they deviate away from what made them an interesting source of entertainment in the first place. So yeah, I totally agree with him.
Can it be financial as well, Magsy?
Yeah, absolutely. When you start getting to the point where you're making money through your podcast or you're making money through YouTube, and it starts building up and snowballing, you have to keep that momentum going, and you have to keep attracting new viewers, and they're not necessarily the same viewers, or they don't necessarily have the same mindset of the viewers that you started with. So you end up doing more and more ridiculous things, more and more out of the realm that you were first brought into creating content for, and you kind of lose that touch with your original audience base. So I can totally understand Steve-O's frustration with stuff like that, because I've had that frustration.
Yeah, I can imagine. Just so we're clear, I will never ever sell out and do a Babylon 5 podcast. Okay, it won't happen.
But
that's
definitely buy a T-shirt from Jade Wrestling.
Actually, yes. You have to scroll all the way back in the chat, unless I can be really clever, Magsy, and just do this. Let's have a little look. There we go. Look at that. There's a link now in the chat, if I've done this correctly. I don't know if you can click on it. I might have to copy and paste it. Apologies if it doesn't work. But that should take you straight to our shop. So you can buy the merch. Buy it. We want your money.
Imagine selling out to do something you hate to appease the masses.
Yeah, that's a T-shirt.
Sad. It's definitely a T-shirt.
It is.
Appease the masses.
Yes. Dan, at Dan Not Daniel on Twitter here. Hello, sir. He says, at team_CTB, Chris the Butcher and friends, rate my takeaway. Mike Jevons, Mike does food reviews, Metal Trenches, a quest for metal, FayJ.beard, meets food, and a few more. So a lot of food and music aspects there, I guess, Mags.
Yeah, and Chris the Butcher actually replied to him and said thank you very much for the shout out.
Fair enough. Good stuff. Brilliant to hear from this fella. Awesome. We don't hear from you enough, sir. At Rain Counter on Twitter, our good friend Tolly.
Yes, sir. Mr. Tolly.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome to hear from you again. Russell Brand, he says, because it's enlightening and empowering. Oh, I don't like Russell Brand, mate.
I'm not a massive... I don't find him hugely funny, but I do like his social commentary. He says a lot of very, very sensible things when it comes to politics and things like that, so...
Oh, does he really? Okay.
Yeah.
I just always thought he was just a bit of a knob, but...
He won Shagger of the Year award 2 years running, I think.
Okay. Justin Hawkins rides again. James Hargreaves guitar, and Paul Davids, because I love the way they break down music, composure, and music rhythms.
Justin Hawkins is amazing at it. I follow him on TikTok, which is like a short version of his YouTube channel. And the way he looks at music, and it's just mind-blowing, the way he'll study a piece of music and break it down to its elements. And for people who don't know, Justin Hawkins was the lead singer of The Darkness.
Yes.
The guy, he looks at music in such a unique way that it's enthralling watching him.
Yeah. Okay. And also, no more jockeys, because it's very funny. I don't know them either. Again, I have to go check them out, won't I?
Mm-hmm. You will. You've got lots of homework this week.
I have, mate. Loads. It's a good job I got a couple of days off work, isn't it? At 5nerds go, and this is normally where I go, oh no. But we've got a little Twitter tag here as well, at Team Zoom Zoom One. Cheap plug, they say here. I spend way too much time watching food and animal things on YouTube. So food, salted food, Guga, because giant flamethrower, Bon Appetit, David Seymour. I think I'm reading these a little bit out of sync, aren't I? Animal wise,
Matt's thoughts are out of sync, so don't worry about it.
Okay. Animal wise, Sherpa Milper Life with Malamutes, the Dodo Funny Stuff, and Good Mythical Morning Embrace the Suck. We don't know what majority of those are, but again, more shouts out for some food aspects there. Food stuff always does bloody well, the CWF, doesn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, we were just a bunch of big fat fatties, aren't we?
Big fat fatties. Magsy, that's kind of all I got from Twitter and WhatsApp and everything this week, my friend. What about your good stuff?
Yeah, some really interesting picks there. For me, I'm going to add to the food picks. There's a YouTube channel called Steve1969, and he does reviews of MREs. So for MREs are like the food ration packs that the armed forces get when they're going on like operations and things like that. So he reviews a lot of those from over the years. He also eats them to see what they taste like and how much energy you get from them. And he's even eaten packs that are like 30, 40, 50 years old, which is just absolutely horrific.
Scary.
Yeah, in terms of gaming, I like watching speedrunning. So a couple of really good channels are GDQ, which is Games Done Quick, and ESA, which is the European Speedster Assembly. It's basically people showing how broken games can be and burning through them as quickly as humanly possible. And then I mentioned earlier that I get kind of like obsessed with channels and I'll binge for like a couple of weeks before moving on to something else. Two channels that I'm really kind of obsessed with now are, one's called Audit the Audits, which is a guy who essentially reviews people's interactions with police and kind of scores the police on how well they did in terms of like knowing the law, kind of calming the situations down, things like that, and also kind of
some bad ones there. Then I'm assuming what you're looking for is I suppose, is the bad policeman doing stuff wrong. I would assume.
Yeah, he essentially will. He'll get sent these videos of people having police interactions, and he'll give them an A to F score rating, like on how well that policeman applied the law, how well they kind of kept the situation calm. You get multiple incidents where the police get F ratings for not knowing their own laws, for kind of inciting arrests that maybe didn't need to happen. But he also rates the person sending the video in, the person who's interacting with the police, to see if they kind of antagonise the police, or to see if they knew their own rights and things like that. So yeah, it's really, really interesting. It focuses mainly on American, but he does do some other like international law. He's a very knowledgeable guy. And then I don't know if I should bring this one up because it's pretty grim. But,
go on, it's after 10 now, we're all right.
Me and the wife have really got over the last 3 or 4 weeks or into a British company's uploads, and they're a company called Mersey Rod, and what their job is cleaning out block drains.
Oh God!
But it's exactly what you think it is. They open up manhole covers and drain covers, and it's packed with shit and baby wipes and nappies and stuff like that. But the guys are so like entertaining. They're like a group of Liverpudlian Scousers, and their passion for cleaning out drains it's just brilliant. So yeah, definitely, yeah, it is. It should not be entertaining, but it absolutely is entertaining. So definitely go on, don't check it out. But they're called the Drain Unblockers.
Okay. I'm stuff like that makes me wretch, mate. So
It did for me at first, especially when you're seeing like volcanoes of shit come out of drain pipes. But
now
you feel
the tolerance.
yeah, I now can tolerate it. But I also get I get like quietly proud of them when they unblock like a massively blocked pipe, and when you see the clear water running, it's like yes, job done, lads, well played. So yeah,
fair enough, mate.
the drain unblockers, yeah, check them out.
Okay. Yeah. I've actually got a couple myself, mate. Believe it or not.
Wow.
I know. Well, first of all, I mean Sharon, my good lady, my wife in the chat, she'll back me up on this. You tend to find a lot of them show up on your Facebook feed, but they have the YouTube channels. That's where I first discovered them. And these paedophile hunters.
Okay.
I used to watch quite a few of them, but I get my hair off a little bit in the end because I just want to kick the shit out of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the tolerance they show is unbelievable. But Sharon watches a load of them still now. And it's what they do, as long as they do it properly and don't jeopardize any legal cases against these horrible nonce bastards that deserve burning at the fucking stake. You know, it can be really interesting. One of my favorite kind of genres, I guess, is the example I use. There's a lady called the Charismatic Voice, and she is a classically trained singer and has performed in all these massive venues like the Albert Hall or the Symphony Hall in Birmingham or whatever. And people send her in suggestions for rock and metal songs.
Okay.
And she watches them and talks them through, especially like live versions, for example. So this classically trained person who's not necessarily into that sort of music will sit there and review Iron Maiden, Fear of the Dark, and say, you know, she'll watch a bit of it, then pause it and go, "This is insane. He's already been singing this song for 3.5 minutes, and now he's just done a 100-meter sprint, and he's hitting this note. His range is that is fascinating. That's really, really interesting." But lastly, there was a couple of Australian guys called Michael and Marty, or Marty and Michael, or whatever it was, who I used to really, really adore. Every video would come out, I would find it hysterically funny, and it's just prank shit, doing stupid stuff to wind each other up and all that. And I suppose they fall into the category of now they're doing it because they're making money, and it's not quite as
it's more scripted.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, they are still entertaining, but it's not as good as it once was. Some of the stuff they used to do was just absolutely hysterical. And one of them, he gets pissed up and passes out all the time. He passed out, they covered him in fake tan. So when he woke up, he was half tanned and for stuff. It's just silly shit like that. But it's my sense of humor. It's right up there.
Yeah.
Right up there, you know. So yeah, but there's two of them, the Charismatic Voice, and there's another lady who does something very similar. Hearing their take on vocalists who are obviously incredibly talented and an insane vocal range, but because they're in the metal genre, maybe don't get the praise they deserve in other circles. That I find really interesting, Max.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's good, mate. It's good. So there we go then. That's our non-wrestling topic for this week. I suppose we better have a very quick scan through the chat before we get on and actually talk a little bit of wrestling at gone 10:30 at night.
So we have Sharon in the chat saying if we're talking YouTube, she watches Jared Leto.
Yes,
I mean
standard.
And Charlie says thank you for the praise on the art. Yeah, you are very, very talented. So yeah, well done. Keep it up. Sarah loves a good makeup and murder video.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, there's a couple of these lasses right online. Again, they pop up on Facebook and YouTube, whatever. There's one of them who's just, I think she's from this country. I'm not 100% sure. But she will talk about crime cases, like you said, like cold cases or explain murders and all that. They're about a quarter of an hour long each. They're fascinating because she breaks it down, but doesn't go so complex you get a bit lost. And then there's the odd one or two that are doing it whilst they put their makeup on, which, you know, that whatever, that's up to them. But I'm interested in the crime stuff. And they're good there.
Well, another one that I'll have to check out. Scottish Danny says exploring abandoned buildings on YouTube is cool. Yeah, I've watched a few. It's not something I'd watch a hell of a lot of. He also says all the love for Steve-O, genuinely good chap. Yeah, we adore Steve-O.
100%. Love you, Steve-O.
Dan Griffith says, if this goes beyond 11, does that count as chain wrestling after dark? And Scottish Danny says, I think we've already gone dark. It's always this show is always dark. UTT Rob gives you a boo and said that got a temporary thumbs down.
Yeah, but I did say something probably will happen because you've just gone on at me for so freaking long. I'm not saying I'm going to review the whole bloody lot. I may have a look at an episode or two. How's that?
And Dan says it's a 50-50 thing. Could be the link to the merch. Could be the link to SARS crafting material. Can you imagine if it was that? If it was straight to midget amputee Pornhub.
That made me paranoid. So when he posted that and you were talking, I got my phone out quick and just double checked the link was the right one. Hang on. What did you say? Midget amputee Pornhub?
It's a niche. It's a niche.
It definitely won't be midgets, mate. We've already covered my my fear of them on the show. But anyway.
Yeah, but it might be a fear, an arousal fear. Like you have to be scared to get it up.
Is that a thing?
How do I know? Let's move on. Scottish Danny saying The Darkness is one ticket to hell and back. It's a great tune, yeah. I really like The Darkness, even though they were meant to be like a pastiche of of hair metal bands or whatever. I thought that they were really, really good. Dan says the drain and blockers sound shit. Ba-bum. Sharon says Royal Albert Hall, you peasant. And Bailey. Yeah, I think he's just said the Albert Hall. Bailey Sarayan is the one to watch for Makeup and Murder. And Rob says the whole lot. And Sa, don't talk to Sai about little people. Sharon, does he have a short temper when it comes to little people?
Oh, there we go. Look at
that. There's me hitting below the belt.
Oh, this is bad. Okay. Thank you so much to everybody who has commented in the chat, sent stuff in on Twitter and WhatsApp, and bought us your favorite YouTubers. So much to get through there. Absolutely fantastic. This again, I imagine this week's episode of Chain Wrestling is going to run a little bit long because of it, but that's because you guys are so fantastic and so awesome. You know, with all the help you give the show, we say it all the time. But if it weren't for you, this show don't exist. So,
yeah, so if you want a show to show, stop getting involved.
Yeah, we'll just come on, talk about wrestling and go. That's how we started.
that's what the show was meant to be.
Magsy, speaking of which, shall we talk about wrestling, mate?
Let's get ready to rumble!
Oh, before we go, these two comments by Rob and Dan. Mags channeling Vincent Mann, it's good shit, pal. And Dan setting a low bar there, Mags. Jesus wept.
Magsy, this week's wrestling topic. You won the poll.
Again? I'm on a roll. What is this all about?
If only there was a spreadsheet for us to check to see how we're getting on.
Exactly.
I only update it when I win. And what fantastic! The match is obviously what won the poll. That was the aspect of how the show works. We look at one match in theory, but Magsy, in his usual methodology, breaking or bending the rules, shall we say, we've got a lot more to look into because the topic officially is Foley versus Rock from an episode of Monday Night Raw. But the topic, I suppose, unofficially, is maybe one of the most historic nights in the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah, definitely. For me, this and for a lot of people, this is one of the pivotal nights where the tide started to turn. After being beaten to the ground by WCW for so long, that people started to really turn to the WWF. So yeah, this night we've actually covered on Chain Wrestling before. I think it's an entry into the Hall of Fame, the WCW section with the finger poke of doom. But we are getting very late into that. So for context, what Sai and me are kind of looking to do is compare and contrast these two episodes. So I thought I would give a little bit of context to where we were in the timeline of wrestling for both Raw and for Nitro. So
sorry, Max, this is going to be great for me because normally people chime up in the chat at this moment and say it's story time with Sai and Mags, and Dan Griffin says settle down with your hot chocolate and your blanket. It's wrestling story time and so on. I'm going to settle down now because for me it's story time with Mags.
Jesus Christ, not a lot of pressure here then. So let's build up to the Nitro episode. We had Starrcade where Goldberg had been screwed out of his WCW World Heavyweight title with the cattle prod from Scott Hall, and it was all about his build to regaining that title. He got his rematch against, or he was meant to have his rematch against Kevin Nash on this show. But there were also a few other issues that were happening in Nitro that kind of added wrinkles to this storyline. We had Ric Flair had become president of the company. Eric Bischoff had lost his match to Flair at the pay-per-view. Lost a rematch, I think, which give Flair the 90 days presidency. Then we had Hogan, who had retired previously in wrestling, making a play to be to run as president, apparently. So he was going to announce that on this episode. We also then had Goldberg being accused of stalking Miss Elizabeth, which led to him being arrested and actually being taken out of this main event. Kevin Nash fuming about that. He wants the match with Hogan because he feels that Hogan got involved and got Liz to make the false allegation, which all leads to one of the most important and most divisive moments in wrestling, which was the finger poke of doom, where Kevin Nash and Hogan colluded to get the belt from Bill Goldberg and put it on Hogan by Kevin Nash essentially laying down and Hogan becoming the world champion again, and reuniting the broken NWO, Hollywood and Wolfpack back under one banner. So essentially that was the run-in for WCW. In terms of Raw, we had Survivor Series where the Mankind was made to believe he was the chosen one to win the Deadly Games. Turns out he was screwed by Vince McMahon, and Rock was actually the chosen one. That led to a match at Rock Bottom where Mankind thought he had the title won, only to be screwed again by Vince McMahon. And he was essentially looking for a rematch. He knew that he had the Rock beat, and we get to this episode of Raw, and Mankind comes out to the ring saying he wants his title match at the Royal Rumble. Vince says, "No, you're not getting one. I know someone like you shouldn't be near the world title, but you will have an opportunity to be in the Royal Rumble, and it's the closest that you'll get. But to do that, you have to win. You have to win a match." So we get to his match, which is against Triple H. And Triple H at this time was feuding with Vince McMahon and The Rock. He and DX had been very friendly with Mankind, but business is business, and Triple H gets the victory mainly because Shane McMahon does a fast count from a roll up.
He kicks his arms away, doesn't he? Like it's a sunset flip attempt.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he's quite athletic here, Shane McMahon, because Mankind's holding the rope. Shane kicks his arms away, And as Mankind hits the deck, Shane is already in position to make the count.
For the count, yeah. And it's a super fast count.
Yeah.
But Mankind, he's not to be outdone. Triple H, again, says business is business when it comes to the world title. Business comes first. But I've got a present for you. Happy New Year. Pedigree Shane, which gives Mankind the opportunity to lock Shane in a brutal shoulder breaker submission, which
it's
forces out.
Rings of Saturn kind of effort, isn't it? That
kind of. Yeah,
profile, almost like a chicken wing led on the deck, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, and it does look painful. Absolutely, you see both essentially both his Shane's shoulders are being forced backwards. This brings out Vince McMahon, and Mankind uses this as leverage to get the match that he wants, but he doesn't now want it at Royal Rumble. He wants it tonight. Vince has to agree because he's going to. Mankind says, "I'm going to break his shoulders if you don't." And then he wants a stipulation of it being no DQ. So essentially, that's got us to where we are now for this match. That Mankind has bullied his way into a title match that Vince was adamant that he was not going to get. And then we get to the infamous part of this day. So I think this is a time when Raw was 2 hours and Nitro was 3 hours.
Yeah,
Raw was also.
I just want to sing your praises here a little bit. In my research for I said I've not done any research and I finished at 10 past. But a lot of that is said tongue in cheek. I did do my research to a degree, but I couldn't figure out the whole timeline with regards to this. And you explained it to me, and it's absolutely fascinating. First of all, the moment that infamous line gets uttered, and then secondly, what happens with regards to viewership. And even before, I wish I'd pressed live before we went live so that people could hear you explaining it to me, because it was absolutely fascinating the way you explained how the show was working at the time and the time frames and so on. Please go on.
Yeah, so essentially, Raw was taped, Nitro was live, and Nitro had this this kind of fascination of giving away Raw results so people didn't change the channel. They didn't have to go and watch a match when they already knew the results. So as we get to kind of like the second third of Nitro, that's leading into the exact same time when the main event of Raw is happening. So via Eric Bischoff, Tony Schiavone utters the now famous line, "Fans, if you're thinking about changing the channel to our competition, do not. We understand that Mick Foley, who wrestled here one time as Cactus Jack, is going to win their world title." And then he says, "Oh, that's going to get a lot of butts in seats." And at that time, according to rumour and innuendo, around 600,000 people switched the channel to watch Mankind win the world title. So that's
amazing, isn't it?
That was just before, I think, Scott Steiner versus Conan match. So whilst 600,000 people then turned over to go and watch Mankind versus The Rock, which is the match that we are going to be covering.
It's incredible, that number. Mm-hmm. I mean, can you imagine if you're part of that network? Because they break everything, not so much now because it's a different. It's wrestling now is completely different, and ratings are still interesting to me on a personal level, but I appreciate they're not the be all and end all anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, these people who get caught up in and you know, I don't know whether to. I don't necessarily like the term, but I suppose marks is a good way of wording it. Some of the IWC, the accounts we're all familiar with on Twitter, shall we say, the wrestling accounts there, who use the Rampage, AEW Rampage TV rating as a stick to beat AEW with against SmackDown on the same night and all this sort of stuff. Nowadays, people consume their content very differently. I consume my WWE Raw and SmackDown via clips on YouTube, highlight bits and bobs, and if something really good has happened, I will go and watch what has been recorded on my cable box downstairs. I will listen to podcasts about it, 2 of which are on the network we're on, from Benny Mac and RSH, talking about what's happened, because I find that more interesting than watching it myself. That's how I consume Raw and SmackDown now.
Mm-hmm.
That won't show up on the TV ratings, but people are still showing an interest in their product.
Yeah,
And they're still seeing. Well, if I clicked on, if I click on a SmackDown moment on YouTube, I'm still seeing adverts on that for stuff that they're advertising. So advertising revenue is a big part of how wrestling companies make their money.
absolutely.
TV ratings now may not be what they were in '98, but WWE is making even more money than then. So I think people need to be a little bit more aware of how things work, potentially, Mags.
Yeah, you're right, and we mentioned it earlier. People aren't watching TV with the amount that they used to do.
Yeah.
People get their content in so many different diverse ways that TV ratings that wrestling gets now are more valuable in terms of money than they were back in the Attitude Era because of that. The huge numbers that they get from the TV companies to put on live entertainment, and then you talk about the YouTube and the supplementary income. Mm-hmm. It's not small numbers anymore. I mean, WWE regularly get 20, 30, 40 million dollars of revenue from YouTube ads alone per quarter.
I didn't know that.
It's huge money. They're one of the most subscribed YouTube channels. Their videos get multiple millions of views every single time. So they include social media interactions now in their financial reports.
See, I wasn't aware. Sorry to interrupt again, I wasn't aware of that because I knew YouTube numbers for WWE are huge because they quite often, not so much now, I don't know, but when I was still watching a bit more regularly a few years ago, they used to say, we've got X amount of subscribers on our YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. That's more than the NFL, the NBA, and listing all these different, I suppose, potential competitors in a way, combined. And I thought that's obviously going to earn them money, but I didn't know the financial. I knew more numbers is better, obviously, but I didn't get the financial. And it's that much, is it? 30 to 40 million, did you say?
Yeah, per quarter.
So say we're working on 30 million. That's 60. That's
120 million of supplementary income.
That's incredible for something they've already made, already filmed, that they've got money for on television.
Yep.
And all some dude has got to do is, bloody hell, me and you can do it. Cut it up, chuck it on YouTube. And they're getting all that extra cash.
And it's up within minutes of it happening on TV as well.
That's mind-blowing. I didn't realise the financial aspect of that. That's insane.
Yep. Big money.
Sorry, I interrupted you yet again, Mags. I do apologise.
No, it's fine. I was coming to the end of my rant or story time with Mags. So the kind of common view is that Tony Schiavone's comments won this week's rating for the WWF. From what I've read, that's not strictly true. The amount that switched over, whilst it was significant, it wouldn't account for how much the WWE won by. So the ratings were 5.7 for Raw and I think 5 for Nitro. Okay. And at the time, it was the points are how much of a percentage of the nation are watching this show. Around this time, it would have been about 1.5 million to 2 million per point. So that 0.7 would be around maybe 800,000 to 1.5 million viewers. So it's not big enough for them to win it, but it's still a huge. You lose 600,000 viewers in an instant. It's big numbers, and Tony has said he regrets doing it, and that it was an edict coming down from Eric Bischoff, who ironically was sat beside him because he'd been made to be a commentator by the new president, Ric Flair. So
Yeah, and I suppose before we get into the match, I want to give a few details right now because it feels like I was going to summarize with this, but it feels like the right time to do it because obviously Chain Wrestling's format is we review the match. So the Butts and Seats comment, as you said, 600,000 people change channel. WCW after this night only hit a 5 in the television ratings 3 times more before they went out of business in 2001.
And that's why this night is so, for me, so pivotal in that change, in that switch to WWF.
Yes, and one of those was actually unopposed. Raw was not on television one night. Maybe it's a dog show, potentially. I think it was the dog show. You laugh.
The Westminster Dog Show.
Yeah.
I love
it. And that episode of A Change in Attitude where you covered the dog show was absolutely fantastic. You, Scottish Danny, Ori.
The best part of it was Ori not believing that it was going to be about, thinking she was being pranked.
It was
and
amazing.
It wasn't. Yeah, that was such a fun episode.
I love how enthusiastic Scottish Danny was as well about the whole dog show thing. It was just fantastic.
He had pages and pages of research.
Amazing stuff. What a legend he is. I work with him on Nitro Nights, obviously, and I know how much amazing I call him the encyclopedia for a reason, you know? But yeah, they only hit a 5.0 in the television ratings 3 more times before they went out of business in March 2001. One of those was unopposed. Nitro, in the big scheme of things, to me, felt like it was ending stuff. Whereas Raw felt very much like it was starting things. From this episode of Raw, we get Foley, Rock for a while. McMahon, Austin is advanced further. We get Austin, Rock because of that. You want to watch more and more and more. WCW, it was a big night. And I'll be honest with you, watching that episode of Nitro back and making my notes, it wasn't a bad TV show. It wasn't terrible. Some of the acting by the police and all that who involved with the Elizabeth stuff.
And Elizabeth, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you can understand.
You tried to get a Pepsi out of a Coke machine.
But the storyline on Nitro of Goldberg getting arrested and Nash wants to defend the title, but Goldberg has to rush back after being arrested, but the match with Hogan's already arranged, and it's a big swerve and brilliant storytelling on that episode. But after that, the NWO Civil War was done. Goldberg had to start from scratch, trying to build his way into the world title picture again. Roughly, in theory, it didn't happen straight away, but that's kind of how we went. A lot of things, Luger turned heel. A lot of things on Nitro felt like it was the close of stories, whereas on Raw, it felt like it was the beginning of stories.
Yeah. And,
I think that was a big thing as well.
Yeah, and for me, obviously, I wasn't an avid WCW watcher at the time, but after going back and watching the stuff and kind of comparing with WWE, it was a burgeoning young main event scene. There were lots of characters who were there, who were coming up and were going to be stars for the next 10 years. With WCW, it felt like a return to the status quo where people who were in the main event had been in that main event for the past 5, 6, 7 years. And it was kind of like they had this new Goldberg that everybody got behind, and he got the legs pulled from underneath him. It was back to being the Hogan show and back to being the NWO show. So that for me is... Rob in the chat has come with some information, and I love Rob. He's so good at that analytical breakdown of wrestling economy. He says YouTube income is a false economy, as they can earn 145 million per quarter from the TV deal. So driving people to the YouTube to chase 30 million will end up with them earning less in future. Yeah, I understand that, but I think as long as you look at YouTube as being the supplementary income, knowing that people who aren't necessarily watching the TV are still going to consume it on YouTube. Yeah, exactly. So it's never going to be your main source, but it certainly adds to your bottom line when it comes to money for content that you have already produced.
Yeah, definitely. Shall we have a little look at the actual wrestling match then, Maxie? Which doesn't, to be fair, it's not a long match, but they cram so much in because obviously we've got the no DQ stipulation now. Yeah. So Foley is, I suppose, for want of a better term, Foley is backed by DX.
Yes.
And The Rock naturally has the corporation there, which Kane is part of the corporation. Always looked weird, and it looked equally weird here. But so you got a lot of moving parts already, even though they don't really get massively involved until the very end. There's a lot of characters or face, there's a lot of bodies, shall we say, around the ring. A lot goes on outside the ring and so on. But it's a very short contest in the context of things, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the reason for that is because this was the era that Rock was wearing tracksuits. Rather than like the spandex, and I think he'd had surgery and he was still recovering from it, so he couldn't do the 30-40 minute Broadway style matches, so it had to be in and out kind of thing.
That was booby surgery, wasn't it?
It was, I believe.
Booby surgery. Something I noticed straight away as well. I'm a big title belt geek. And you asked me to name my favorite WWF, WWE title belts. I will always put the Winged Eagle belt, the old Bret Shawn belt, right up there. That's probably my number one. And the undisputed belt that Guerrero, Lesnar wore, and so on is very up there as well. Here, though, the Big Eagle, as it tends to be referred to as, the more circular, slightly larger belt, The Rock walks down with it. Doesn't this look incredible?
Yeah, it's a gorgeous towel. It really is. For me, in terms of WWF World titles, it's the second best behind the Winged Eagle. Probably third behind the Intercontinental Classic red block WWF logo towel. But yeah, it really looks. It's a gorgeous looking towel, and it looks really good on The Rock. To be fair, he exudes being a champion.
Yeah, 100%. As happened, I suppose, quite a bit with regards to Foley and Rock matches and no DQ matches as well in general in this era. We're outside the ring early, and we have, Foley for a start, he looks a fucking mess, but I suppose it's done intentionally. He's got the brown tights and the shirt, which makes him look a bit of a fucking hobo anyway. But the shirt is torn to pieces. There's already a rip in his knee of his brown tights, so he looks even worse than normal. And they even mentioned on commentary that The Rock looks amazing. Look at the state of this dude.
Yeah. And underneath his shirt, he's wearing the classic Job Squad t-shirt, the Pin Me Pay Me t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. The steps, the ring steps come involved quite early on. We get a nasty a shot to the head with them, I suppose. They're picked up by The Rock and they hit Foley in the head. And then he gets another one on his back. And those are vicious early on, aren't they?
Yeah, for me, the best part of this early kind of exchange though is when The Rock rips off Michael Cole's headset to start commentating, and then Mankind beats up The Rock, takes the headset, and says to the world he's got testicular fortitude. Yeah, I thought that was absolutely hilarious. That leads to the Rock giving Mankind the rock bottom through the table. That table does not collapse well, and it looks pretty rough. The Rock ends up kind of like on top of Mick Foley at that time. We also see something that I think we covered last week, the ring bell incident where, again, The Rock lamps Mick Foley with it, and you hear the ding. So he definitely had a way of doing that on purpose to get that noise out of that ring bell. It wasn't an accident that he was so good at it.
It may, obviously we now know that it's done in a certain way, but it's so good that it doesn't seem like it's done in a certain way. It seems like it's legit dong off the guy's head, doesn't it?
Yeah. And we also, I think it's around this time when we heard Jerry Lawler have a dig at WCW when he says that this is not going to be a title match that begins 2 minutes before the end of the show. Oh, the shots across the bow in this time were just glorious.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. We get a moment where Shane McMahon, Foley, they're back in the ring. Foley ends up draped across the middle rope, and Shane McMahon does the whole outside the ring, hanging the guy across the middle rope aspect. But what I loved about this was when Shane ran away from that spot, he started selling the injury, the sort of the pain from the hold that Foley put him in earlier in the night that we discussed, Mags. I thought that was a lovely touch.
Yeah, it is. For all the grief people give Shane, he got the wrestling business, I think.
Yeah. We get a few 2 counts from The Rock 2 counts from, in general, from both, I guess, that get really good, strong crowd reactions. I mean, the crowd here are wild for this situation anyway.
Yeah, it's especially for Mick Foley, the crowd. Yeah. There's not many bigger pops than this, especially when we get to the end. But he is universally adored by this crowd.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, similar to the Nitro in a way. As a 1-episode story, getting to the conclusion they want. Nitro, I thought, it gets the whole finger point of doom and so on. Nitro gets panned, but it's not a bad episode, Nitro, if you look at it in isolation and look at the story outside of what goes on business-wise. Here on Raw, it's the same. The story across the episode is so well told. And because of that, in the main event, the reactions you get a corporate elbow or a people's elbow from The Rock for a 2 count. The crowd pop when Foley kicks out on 2. The Rock then uses the title belt, and you're thinking this is it, eh?
Which is interesting because they try and hide the fact that he's doing it. Even though it's a no DQ match, he can do it as much as he wants. I think Shane passes him the belt first, and then I think it's Test slides it in for the second time. Yeah. But Mankind's wise to the second one. He ends up getting the title. Clocking The Rock with it, and then goes for a double arm DDT, moves to get Rock to essentially be DDT'd on the title belt, but then when he goes to drop the DDT, he kicks the title belt out of the way, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. But that again leads to another 2 count.
And a great reaction from the crowd again. And also on the topic of reactions, Vince McMahon ringside at this point, his facial expressions, his reactions to what he's seeing in the ring, absolutely superb. He is just the reactions in the arena. You're not going to see them so well, obviously, but for the viewer at home, I think they really adds to what we're seeing. Yeah, totally. Mr. Socko then comes out, and the crowd pop for that before we get a chair shot from Ken Shamrock stopping Socko and Foley. We assume potentially winning the contest at that moment, and then all hell breaks loose, Maxie, doesn't it? Do you want to talk us through what we see next?
Yeah, Billy Gunn may be the fastest man alive because he jumps straight in the ring, takes out Shamrock. Everybody starts piling around the outside of the ring now, laid into each other. You have Triple H and the rest of DX against the corporation. Vince trying to kind of dictate the proceedings, and then the glass smash.
Why?
A huge pop. Stone Cold Steve Austin walks down to the ring, gets hold of the chair, absolutely waffles The Rock with it. Brilliantly brutal looking chair shot. Lars Mick Foley over The Rock. Referee with the count, and we have a new world champion. The guy who doesn't look like a world champion, Vince McMahon, essentially gave him the "you people" speech at the beginning of the show. People like you don't become world champion, and the crowd go mental. This is on levels of Jericho appearing on Raw for the first time. Levels of electricity. The crowd are just ecstatic.
I was going to ask that question, Maxie. In your mind as a wrestling fan, picking through your memories and looking back over all the stuff that you've watched and consumed in your lifetime, the 2 big pops here are Foley winning the title, obviously, but the glass breaking and that shot, the camera shot is done so well for the viewer at home as well, because the camera, we're back on the, I suppose, the hard cam, they call it. And we're seeing everyone just the chaoticness, the fighting is a mob scene, so to speak. But Foley is still in the ring with The Rock and that. And then the glass breaks and the crowd react instantly. And I suppose the term that a lot of people on social media use when they see goals scored and people jumping around is limbs. It's like just flailing arms and legs celebrating the fact that Austin is arriving. With regards to how big that pop was, how does that compare in your mind to other famous big pops? I'm struggling to think of many that would be bigger.
Yeah, I think for me, and this is definitely going to be biased, I think the Jericho pop is huge.
Yes.
I think the Goldberg in the Georgia Dome pop is massive when he wins the world title. That crowd is on fire. But this is, and for such a fairly compact arena as well, this crowd is electric. So yeah, it's a huge pop.
I struggle to think. I mean, Triple H coming back from that injury at Madison Square Garden, that's one that always sticks out to me as being insanely just intense and incredible. Edge at the Rumble, that's a big one.
Yeah, perhaps or Cena when he came back to
that was Madison Square Garden as well, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, but I mean,
it's definitely up there with one of the biggest pops.
Yeah, I agree. But that's it, isn't it? We like you said, I went all squeaky then. Do you hear that? That's it, isn't it?
Yeah. We get essentially Mick Foley being like lifted up by DX on the shoulder. He gets to have a cool little speech talking to his kids about how Dad is now a world champion and things like that. And you get Vince's reaction, how he's disgusted he is on the ramp. It's a great end and a really kind of a uplifting end to a like I said, a one night story. And for me, the massive comparison between the opposite show is it paid off. You get a payoff when you go on a storyline. You want, as a fan, you want a payoff. You want a reason that was worth watching. Whereas on the other show, with the finger poke of doom and it going back to the kind of status quo of the NWO altogether and the good guys being screwed again, it felt cheap. It made sense in the grand stream of the storyline. I understand that, but as a fan, you feel cheated that you haven't got that good feeling at the end of it, which is I think that marks WCW down for me.
Yes, 100%. To me, it almost felt like a reset because they're in the Georgia Dome again, WCW, which is where the Goldberg-Hogan match that we discussed a few weeks back took place. And to me, it was almost like a because they had nothing else. They'd run out of ideas. The NWO, I use the term Civil War very loosely, the Wolfpack versus the Hollywood aspect. That wasn't handled as well as it could be. They've put the NWO back together as it was. Goldberg is now the challenger again, chasing Hogan. To me, it almost feels like they've reset it to before the previous Georgia Dome. Now, there's two aspects there where it's not going to work. One, everyone's seen that already. And two, what else have you got for me? There is nothing else. Luger is now part of the NWO, and the whole aspect of Luger battling the NWO as well as gone. Luger is an incredibly popular babyface at this point. They put all their eggs in one basket, and it didn't quite work out.
Yeah.
Whereas the WWE, they're looking to the future, whereas WCW are almost recycling the past potentially. But with regards to, I suppose in summary, with regards to the actual match that we're supposed to be marking here, Mankind Rock, I place this up there with one of those, the same as Goldberg Hogan, the same as Hogan Rock. The crowd helped make this. But I think in-ring, for the short time they're wrestling and the stuff they do, it's actually very, very good. What are you thinking here out of 10, Magsy, as we give it our ratings?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to rate a sub 10-minute match as one of the best things since sliced bread. Yeah, and we are meant to take the match in its singularity and not kind of like the story leading into it, but I think it's hard with this one because it is such an enclosed story in this one episode, and in that 9-10 minutes match there's a lot of really good entertaining wrestling. It doesn't always have to be technical flips and submission moves. Sometimes just punching and kicking the living shit and beating up your opponent can be as entertaining as the most technical wrestling that you see. And the crowd, for me, in this, add such another level to it. They're so invested, and that gets you invested. So whilst the match is not the best thing we'll ever watch, in terms of how it entertains you, I think it's very, very, very good. Like 7.5 good for me.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, there we go. I just want to quickly, again, so people don't accuse us of cheating, there is my rating if people can make it out. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. 7 out of 10, mate.
Not bad at all. Very, very close.
Very close indeed. Magsy, very much with one eye on the clock, because I appreciate people want to get to bed. And I, again, so thankful that people stay up late with us discussing this crazy world of men pretending to fight in their pants. And it's not just the porn I watch. Anyway, we're...
Brilliant.
Where do you want to go next week, my friend?
Okay, so I actually wanted to go to a match that I picked a while ago and it didn't win. I wanted to revisit WrestleMania 19 and Triple H, who was involved in this storyline against Booker T. But then I kind of like backtracked on myself because Triple H was also involved in another storyline in this where he was setting up his feud with Shawn Michaels. So I want to visit a Shawn Michaels and Triple H match. They are best friends, and when they're facing across each other across the ring, it's more often than not absolute gold wrestling. So there's plenty to choose from there, but I want to go to Armageddon 2002.
Oh my God.
Where they had the 3 stages of hell match for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, why? Everyone's fully aware, even though I'm sat here in a Bret Hart t-shirt, everyone's fully aware of how much a Shawn Michaels mark I am. I adore this guy. He's an asshole, but in-ring, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Magsy, it's another week where I'm going to vote for you, you know.
I appreciate it.
Oh, why? Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, Armageddon 2002, 3 stages of hell. What were the 3 stages? It was a cage, wasn't it?
So it was a street fight, then a steel cage, then a ladder.
Oh, it's so fucking good. Oh, but I got to put something up against it, mate. And my choice is utilising the Monday Night War aspect here. And we discussed that WCW only ever hit a 5.0 3 more times in their history. Never won a head-to-head, a direct head-to-head with Raw again, unless they were unopposed. But again, a direct head-to-head they never won. So I thought I want to go back to the last Nitro to win a direct head-to-head with Raw. And the date of that is the 26th of October 1998. And I thought, whatever that is, I'm going to pick the main event. Because it's interesting to me, the TV ratings in this era. And the main event is, for the United States Championship, Diamond Dallas Page versus Bret the Hitman Hart. And I'm not sure if I've ever seen this, but when I did my little bit of digging to find out what we're going to look at, it gets a lot of good reviews online. So,
I mean, it's a Bret Hart match. Can't go wrong with that.
There you go. So those are our options. We have Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, the 3 stages of hell from Armageddon 2002. Absolute stormer of a match, but I'm going to say that. I'm biased. It's got my guy in it. And the last main event on an episode of Monday Nitro that ever beat an episode of Monday Night Raw, directly from the 26th of October 1998. Diamond Dallas Page versus Bret the Hitman Hart for the United States Championship. There's some good wrestling on both sides of that, Magsy.
Yep, a lot of good wrestling.
There is indeed. I know we're already at 20 minutes past 11. We're running late. Again, thank you so much to everyone for sticking with us. Mags, we've got a few more comments in the chat. Should we just quickly scan through before we get out of here, my friend?
Yes, we shall. So, Connor saying, before Techers goes off the air for a while, I just want to say that you guys are my main inspiration for my own stuff, and I'll gladly hold down the fort for when Techers football returns. Thank you very much for that, Connor. And I hope to see you go from strength to strength, so you absolutely deserve it.
Stop arguing with people online, though. Just want to throw that out there. Stop arguing with people online. If they comment stuff you don't like, ignore
them. Yeah.
What you're doing is great. The more you engage with these assholes, the worse it's going to get. Just do you.
Yeah. If you start arguing with a fool, they'll only drag you down to their level and they'll beat you with experience.
Trust me, I'm normally that fool. I'm very experienced.
UTT Rob says the best pop is Lance Storm beating Mark Awesome at WCW New Blood Rising in front of an extremely partisan Canadian crowd that were happy to see Lance Storm cheat his socks off. Yeah, I mean, Canadians are another breed, so that's a good shout. Matt, this comment, when I read it, it brings a lump to my throat, but he says it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to host CW Live for the last 58 episodes. Sam Mags, I hereby salute you both and all of the CWF. On behalf of Techers, we are out of here for now. And yeah, this, as Sa said in the chat, hopefully this is not a goodbye. This is a see you later. But as Sai also mentioned, chain wrestling is not going away. It'll just be in a different place from next week. But keep an eye on our social medias to find that. Scottish Danny says 3 stages of hell. Yes, and Dan says I'll take a 50-50. I mean, it's getting to the point now where we can just chuck anything in, and these guys will want a 50-50. So,
what we need soon, Magsy, is a vote, and we just put absolute dog dirt up and see what they say then.
Yeah, they'd vote for him. They'd vote 50-50. That's why I'd make us watch both dog dirts. And last comment, a newcomer, Willie Bowen, says I'm a loyal fan of NWO Pro Wrestling, United Wrestling Network, Impact Wrestling, and All Japan Pro Wrestling. Well, amazing. You've come to the right channel, because we definitely do talk wrestling on this show, allegedly.
Brilliant to have you along, Willie. Just check out all the stuff in the back catalogues, SJP World Media on Twitter and so on. Fantastic stuff. Loads of wrestling content for you there, my friend. Maxi, I suppose now's the time to say, do people want to follow you online, or?
Do they want to? I mean, they're more than welcome. That's my Twitter handle down there, @PodfatherMags. I'm still really enjoying my exodus from social media. So if you do follow me, I may not reply to you in the near future, but yeah, there's still plenty of old content on there from me. You can also find me on TikTok @MagsAllPod, so I'm still not that active on there either. So yeah, don't follow me on social media, because I'm properly boring.
Just tune in on a Monday night where you can see his beautiful little round face.
This is where you get to see me, cherubic, round face.
Yeah, them little chubby cheeks, or just want to squidge them, don't you?
I mean, that is chain wrestling after dark, sir.
Face cheeks, I mean, nowhere else. You can find me online @SJP Words, but what's really important that I press to everybody is you track down the network that we are part of @SJP World Media on Facebook and Twitter. All the shows that the network has, and more coming still. Amazingly, more coming still. I feel so privileged that people want to come and put shows on my network. It blows my mind that people have that much faith in me. Thank you so much. We have Back When with Scottish Danny and Tyler, Nitro Nights looking at WCW week after week after week. Oh my goodness, there's so much I can't even list it. The Waiting Room coming back soon. A Murder in Mind podcast somebody mentioned. Interesting. NXT Rise and Fall, looking back at that, the black and gold era week after week after week. Checking at Power Palace, me and my wonderful lady who tolerates so much bullshit from this fat idiot, talking about my fat idiot aspects of life and how she tolerates it every fortnight on the SJP World Media Network. There's so much there. RSH covering WWE every week from the States. Benny Mac within the corner, the Nothingness show. Just so much going on. It's absolutely fantastic. @SJP World Media. And most importantly as well, at the moment, jump on the link on all our social media accounts, on everything we do, to look at the merch. New t-shirts all the time. If you've got ideas for a t-shirt for a show, DM me. There's a t-shirt at the moment listed, CWF, Chain Wrestling Family Extreme T, and it's in the old ECW font. That wasn't my idea. That came to us from a listener. Total Steve-O messaged us and said, I would love to see that. There you go. It's there. You want something? Let me know. Okay, within reason. I mean, if you want a big cock on the front, I ain't gonna do that. But you know, within reason, maybe I will. It depends how many sales I get. But there we go. But yeah, there we go. That's it. It's absolutely essential, especially now that we're really genuinely branching out on our own. People continue giving us the fantastic support that we are so thankful for up to now. That's it then, Magsy. That's it then. I'm off now, I suppose, to work out how the fuck I'm going to explain this whole Katie Vick nonsense to my daughters. I'll see you next week, my friend.
Goodbye, folks.